Alright, the stream should be going. I believe both channels on the Discord are open. Someone can do a sound check for me on stream.
I will look.
I can blah 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 blah. Okay, sound is sounding. That sounds good.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Alright. I'm gonna let people trickle in a little bit. But let's see. As usual, there's not gonna be a whole lot of pre-sent questions, so a lot of them are probably gonna come in while we're waiting here. And if not, we're gonna answer the ones coming in the chat. Good 2 in the morning? I don't know what time it is there. Remember to turn off the join sound so you guys don't hear a bunch of voodoo like every time someone joins. Good day. Yes, that it is indeed a good day. I actually just came back from a walk. It's getting a little colder now. We're leaving summer. A little sad about that, but I don't know about other places though.
Here it's proper autumn now. Raining all the time.
Okay. The leaves here haven't changed quite yet. they're still on the trees, which is nice, but I'm starting to see the few color ones. Did MZ leave? MZ left to go get some milk like 10 years ago. Not really 10, but what would it be now? He was around at like 18, so about 8. I guess if we consider his activity dying down, it was around 10. I'm assuming
18 was 6 years ago.
Yeah. I'm assuming Router, you're one of the like OG community people? Or are you just kind of saying that just to say that? Yep, that's cool. Cool that you're still around. Ancient. Well, I guess I'll just consider this the start of it. Hi, welcome to our 15th Developer Campfire chat, if that is the right number. We don't know. We're hoping it is.
I think it is.
Yeah. Today, once again, it's gonna be a little bit of a smaller party. You guys got me. I'm Saug. I do a lot of the art stuff on the development side, and then we have Tybe here, who does a lot of the color development stuff. And we also have Anarchist, who's a little shy to unmute, so we do a lot of the writing. Oh, and Roadrunner just joined. There's another one. She does a lot of the writing review as well. See if any new questions popped in quite yet. I'm going to assume. Okay, no. I'm going to paste that one more time in chat. Where's my message from before? Here's my little copy paste boop. You can see my Twitch chat, no one's in there. Most of you guys are probably gonna be hanging out in the Discord. But for those who need to go through Twitch, that's what Twitch is for. I believe Hector, you will have a YouTube VOD. I believe I'm doing a VOD right now. At the end of it, so.
I suppose we could.
Oh, go ahead.
I suppose we could start by talking about the new updates and or the new features that come with it.
We got a question with that already. I'm just going to yank it out of the 3 that we have listed so far. What's with the new update? A couple of new things, actually. So I'm going to just go with the content side of things to start off with, because everyone's always excited to talk about that right away. Is 2 new species just got introduced, and still working out some of the kinks on them, because I know there's some PRs being opened for that, but we are on Unstable, so it's a good time to do so. We got the Incapias, if I'm saying that right. I always think I say it wrong. It's or Incapias or something like that. It's not Incipias. Marksman just asked when can I get a champ, but it's not 2 in the morning. When if he hears this in the VOD, it's when he moves to the right part of the earth. But so we have the Incapias in the north, which are these funky little sub tier 1 guys. I'm kind of happy to see another less than tier 1 species in the game. That way, not everything is based on humanity being the bare minimum. And then we have the successors, which are way down in the south, if you can find them, who are chilling around about tier 2, a little under that. There's a couple of intro missions for both of them, and we're looking more to see more from them. Then,
You also got some new missions for the Gagno.
Oh yes, true. It's crazy because I worked on that a whole bunch, and I'm just like, wasn't that like 3 updates ago? And it's like, no, that came this update. Yeah, there's a tiny bit more missions for the gig now. It's more like a setup to the actual like kickoff of the plot, which, like, if we're kind of considering where the story is right now, it's about right now is going to start like slowly kicking off, because everything up until now, including the new missions, is kind of like a setup for, hey, the players being nosy, and then they finally like acknowledge that you're being nosy instead of like, get out of here. Yeah, few more of those. A couple other tweaks to bugs, a couple UI updates. You've probably seen a little bit of graphic differences in that.
I suppose the other major feature change is that the boarding mechanics have been changed, and
yes.
boarding defense is actually useful now.
Yeah. I've seen some people kind of surprised about that. It's certainly not going to be the full extent of boarding changes someday, but it at least, like, you know, makes a bunch of more outfits in the game relevant now. Because they actually are calculated. But yeah.
Yeah.
That, and another code side of things is we do have fleet formations now, which a lot of people actually seemed pretty excited about. I've actually seen a little bit of both. I've seen, hell yeah, fleet formations, I've been wanting this for a while, and then I've seen people who are like, I hate fleet fights. So, kind of two-sided of it, but those are now in the game. We're still kind of playing around with those as well. I know there's been some comments about what to do with keys for that, and we'll be looking into that. And then coming along to the side of that, I think this was kind of the most, like, I'm not gonna say underappreciated, what is it? Like, this is like the underdog feature that, like, it seems like everyone's like missing out, but the people who do see it are crazy about it. You can now tell your escorts to hold fire. We've been being asked to get that for a long time, and yeah.
Yeah, it's actually massive if you are trying to just disable a ship. There are a lot of missions that require that.
Yeah. Though that's also kind of tied in with like big fleets and whatnot, so.
I suppose.
Even so, it's oh yeah, with missions too, if you're disabling something, like say, because it's not uncommon to get a little ahead of the story and like maybe you need an Argosy in a mission, but you're flying around in like a Leviathan already, and for whatever reason you just blow up whatever you're trying to disable. Yeah. So yeah, those are, I would say, our main features of this update, along with a bunch of under the hood things, like just some tweaks to checks and whatnot. So that's what's new with this update. I'm gonna ask, because we always have like a random icebreaker question. I'm gonna be like, okay, Ty, what's your favorite part of this update?
Oh. Well, on the content side, probably the successors.
Cool.
I spent quite a lot of time reviewing it.
I saw.
They have more going for them than the Incapias presently. It's a bit of a bigger patch with more comings soon. Well, yeah. Maybe not in the next update, but relatively soon.
Yeah, that's not to say the Incapias don't have a lot either. That was more of like the successors kind of had like a general start when they became, I guess, PR'd. They were already a plugin series and they already had some playtime with it. Meanwhile, the Incapias was kind of more directly through GitHub and reviews, and there was a lot of like on and off reviewing, so it took a little bit to get working with them, and I sat down with Leaf on stream a couple times as well, but to see how either continue onward. Can you hear more about the boarding changes? Asks Discord in username mode.
Sure. So, effectively, previously, what happened with boarding is that you would choose whether you attack or defend, and the AI would choose whether it attacks and defends. And when you attack, the game takes your boarding attack value. When you defend, the game takes your boarding defense value. They are the same for the AI, and they just compare those two numbers. In the new version, what happens is that you still both choose whether you attack or defend. But instead of just comparing the two attacks when you are both attacking, it does 2 rounds of attacks. So first you attack, and then the game looks at your attack versus the AI's defense, and then if the AI attacks, then it takes the AI's attack against your defense. And that's what makes having defense more useful now, because if you don't have that, then you are now going to suffer more casualties. Like previously, you could trick the AI into behaving differently and just getting less casualties if you had less defense.
So we nerfed caps right now, okay. No. Yeah, just kind of scrolling a little bit through here. These little like quick questions, and then we're gonna get to the sheet, which is not gonna be too many. So I'm gonna post this one more time, and we'll get through the few questions in the submissions, and then we'll go through chat here and talk to you guys for a bit, and that should be it. But we always know that's not gonna be it, because we can talk for a little bit of time. So
I saw like a pretty good feature request that got quite a lot of discussion recently.
Is it
so
plotting route hotkey?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can like select systems on the map effectively without using the mouse, but you can't plot a course to them easily. And people were asking for a hotkey.
So I don't know how we would do it, but I'm gonna dig in my brain and I'm gonna try and remember. I believe the Escape Velocity series did it with arrow keys, which might be weird, but I do know that's kind of been around for a while, as we being able to do that. So
yeah, we support like building routes with the jump key, but that's rather cumbersome. We were mainly thinking about like something like space or enter for plotting the course. I don't know if the arrow keys would work. Do we use that to like pan around the map?
I actually don't remember. You guys are gonna hear my game for a second. No, we use that for whatever UI element we're in. Okay, that's different.
Oh.
So like if I click on like trade and stuff, it's going up and down through that. But not for the map now. What if we do like arrow keys search function that's already in game? Yeah. You just jump routing with J. I think, wasn't it like you hit J and it cycled through systems or something like that? Maybe.
It cycles through the adjacent systems from the end of your route.
Okay.
Yes.
So is this request asking a button to select systems around, kind of like generally, or is it asking like a button just to plan the whole route itself? So maybe like
it's a button to plan the whole route to the selected system. Yeah.
So like in the mission panel, like have like a button that says place route or something like that. That once you are offered the mission, it automatically puts it down or something like that. Confirm route, yeah.
Yeah. So you know when you like select a mission, it kind of shows you the system and it does like a highlight, but it doesn't actually plot a course there.
Yeah.
So you would just have like some keyboard hotkey that would do that.
There is also just opening the map router. I think it's more so like one of the comments I believe I saw was just doing it without a mouse, because there's some people who are playing the game entirely with their keyboard. So like more like UI support for that is what it seems to be for.
Yes.
Shift J.
I also wonder how well it would work on controllers. Like if someone is on a Steam Deck maybe.
It'd be certainly different. I saw a comment. Anarchist said I could start reviewing PRs. I want to. I'm kind of in a similar case with Derpy where I'm getting tied up in real life end of things, and every now and then I've been trying to poke my head in, trying to look at some other PRs. Like I did look at successors. I didn't look at them like from step 1 to like, you know, A to B, but I know like lately I haven't had the time to jump on those things. I should in this coming fall have a little bit more time, especially because I know there's a lot of more content things coming up on the side, but like smaller things and stuff like that I do want to look at, though a lot of PRs lately have been a lot of code things, and that's, I can have a crazy opinion on those. So but yes, I do want to look at some of the more written things eventually.
We do have quite a few like typo fixes and just
Yeah.
various content fixes for the new release.
I could probably review high skin outfits. So I reviewed the artwork for that, but I didn't review like the whole thing. I did read the descriptions. My question most so for that pair was if it was something we are adding to the game, which seems to be kind of like the overall consensus, but I did review like more like the artwork side of things of that, but I do want to start reviewing some other like small things, because I know there's a couple of typos and like things that can get merged pretty quickly here. Is a good place to put suggestions into issues? Are you asking, are issues a good place for suggestions, or this place, or because if you're saying issues, yes, you can do feature request. There is a outline for new issues, and one of the options is feature requests.
Yeah.
A bit more criticism. No, you can do that. You can also open a discussion on GitHub. I know some people do it on Steam, though those usually get missed every now and then. So just opening something on GitHub would be a start. Yes. General idea? Well, if it's a general idea, maybe a discussion. In my Twitch chat, Kodiak Attack says, me and my 15 Reno Erics will appreciate Hold Fire. Well, that's good, I guess. Those poor other world ships. Rats, you can also like type it here, but alright, so I think that's a good kind of opening to the campfire chat. Is that background music? It might be. I do background music. Derpy does not do background music for developer campfire streams. I can't talk when it's quiet, so rather I like having a little background noise. Sorry if you listen
I don't
to your
really
own
hear
music.
it on Discord, but
Do what?
sorry.
What'd you say?
Oh, I don't hear the music on Discord, but
Oh no,
maybe
not on
it's on
Discord, but he's probably. Does it make it hard to hear me? Is it that loud? I can turn it down a bit. Put it right there.
When I do the successor streams, I try to do background music with just the music PR, like in the game, but it ended up breaking. And I just realized when I was looking at the VODs that it didn't actually have any background music.
Okay, so I do want to get to the questions first. So, oh yeah, 10% here. Rats, I do want to answer that, but I want to answer it kind of in time, so I will keep that in mind for once we're going through these questions here, because some of these questions might, like an off discussion might answer it. Or do you guys want to answer that now?
I'm not sure which story it's talking about. The Freewords campaign.
No, yeah, let's just talk about that real quick, and then we'll go right to the questions. So, Rat says the delivery of the story is awful, or god awful. Following the storyline is pretty annoying and can be prone to insane roadblocks and functions in a way that is hostile to new users and for those trying to continue storylines. I love every second of the story. I've been to this game for hours of the day over one weekend even, but I had to try and tell every line by asking questions in spoiler channels, and it was always not obvious things. And the way you actually get to it is absurd, roaming around checking every spaceport. What newcomer is going to do that? So we do have a couple missions now that pop up immediately upon landing that say to check the spaceport, but I think that's partly to do with the style of game that it is, because these types of 2D games, especially because this game is based on the Escape Velocity series, the spaceport is like the central button for the entire game, and it's where most stories usually come through. Like in these kind of older style of 2D kind of like story visual novels, if you want to say it that way, but which it's not, but usually there's like a button on the main menu that's where you get all the missions from. So you could say like that's like the bar, or that's mission center or something like that, but typically that's where everything does loop through in these types of games. Yeah. So is this in regards to the Free World's main story, or is it any specific story that you're finding difficult with this sort of thing, or Quotient storyline? Okay. You said, I know it's a do your own time thing, but I'm very unhappy how I'm missing a good story over the fact it's so difficult to know what's going on. No, it shouldn't be super long, but
I definitely think that having long pauses in storylines makes it more difficult to follow them, especially if it's not obvious.
yeah.
And for the spaceport button, we don't really have a good way of getting around that.
Yeah,
we don't know if the player wants to get into major missions or not. So we can't just pop them up every time you land.
Yeah.
But we have to provide a way of doing it.
If everybody starts getting that, then it might be a little bit of jarring. You do say though, we do have the tutorial, which through the tutorial, same thing with the EV series, is it goes through all the different panels. It goes through trade, it goes through outfitter, and it goes through the spaceport, which I believe James says is where you can like do a lot of meeting, and then transport a guy for 0 money denied, obviously. I think at some point that's kind of player on the player, because the very first mission series you get in the game should be pretty important when you're coming into the game. So if you, how do I put this? If you get like a main story quest in like an MMO, and the quest doesn't give you any money, it's just some dude across the street, and you say no, it doesn't soft lock anybody. Or are you talking about a different story?
There was a bug report about a soft lock in some free worlds missions.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, that was a bug, yeah. So was that? I think that was fixed on live. Or are we talking about no way to start it?
It's something that was reported like last week.
Oh, okay. I think we had a similar question come up last Campfire chat that I was part of, or that I hosted. And what ended up being was we think that we could have a couple more second chances worked with Freeload story. So like I don't want to, and then either have the mission pop up again and have like a defer, so it pops up again and asks you again, and kind of more of a summary, sorry. And then if you say no to that, then maybe not. But
yeah, we could make it more difficult to like cancel or decline main storyline missions. We could also add some spaceport reminders if you don't start the main story in reasonable time. Maybe to push the players towards it.
Another problem is continuing and finding storylines. Well, outside of the main campaign, things work a little different, if that's what you're talking about, but it really depends on the storyline. But yeah, Ziproot's right. There was discussion about how you can decline it pretty easily, and we were considering going back and trying to add a little bit more defers and a little less straight up declines. You wonder if it'd be a cool idea if the Heinrich says let the main campaign happen without you participating. Probably not, because we do want to keep the game open for people who aren't ready to do the main campaign or don't want to be part of it. Until they're ready to join it. Though there has been talk about like maybe like a quote merchant campaign where you're kind of like a sidelines person when everything else happens and you're not the one at like the center of it. So like maybe someday.
Yeah.
So I do want to kind of continue onward, but I will answer this, Rats. The Emerald Sword storyline, that is more known to be very difficult to follow.
I don't think anyone has done that without a guide.
Yeah. So I think that one is definitely a good contender for like revisiting maybe. I do want to kind of talk with, I believe, Kari is one who wrote it. Or, sorry, Nebula in the Discord now. But, because that one requires a lot of like looking into the actual like in between the lines, and some people like I had to look it up too when I first played it, so
I still have to.
Yeah. And then the Bactrian one, you go to the north in the deep, and there's a deep storyline that is pretty like easy to follow.
To get the Bactrian, you just have to complete like deep jobs, and then like the mystery jobs and mystery transports, I think. And then just RNG it out until you get into that storyline about the pirates, warlord, and yeah,
there's also an open issue. So regarding things like that, there is kind of like a balance. Like there are some things that we definitely can go back in and add a little bit more clarity or a little bit more forgiveness for the player for missing things out in the first end. And another thing is kind of like, we don't want to go as far as to say, how do you want to get this specific ship? Do this storyline. Because like you were kind of talking earlier, there is kind of an exploratory part of the game. So we don't want to like go as far as to be like, hey, to get insert thing in the game here, you do this, or you look it up and to get it. And like where you have to, like for the Emerald Sword storyline, that one is definitely kind of the case of, if you want it, or maybe you've seen the ship, or if you've heard about it, you definitely kind of have to look it up. But we can be a little bit more clear with them, with like how to find these things, but especially like the initial part of it and continuing it. But
yes, I think we could use having a lot more hints for mission chains all around the galaxy.
A lot of the game, and what Weirdnut is saying here is certainly what's going on is a lot of the game is stumbling across things and not necessarily direct the player to things. So it might just be more of a balance of have that stumble across be a little bit more refined, but still kind of open. And then once you have stumbled across, having a bit more consistency with the continuation of whatever it is you came across.
Yes. And actually, I would just add the reminder after every break so that you are reminded to go back and continue the mission chain.
Yeah. Well, if there's not already a mission that says, oh, hey, come this way. I think most of them do. Like, I'm not sure if all of them do at this point, but I know most of them are like, hey, so-and-so is ready to talk to you again. Come visit us at over planet.
Yeah, quite a few of them do it. Most of them require you to be like in nearby space, so you wouldn't get pop-ups about some human mission in remnant space, for instance.
Might have a missions tab where you can see it left off and look around to continue it. Well, I guess that's still kind of I don't think you necessarily need a tag or a tab to keep track of something that's on break when a mission is going to automatically offer anyways after that break until you go visit it. Because during that break you can't do anything with the mission. So I think just kind of saying you're in break and then it waiting until the next mission pops up isn't really any different than that being there or not. Because either way, that next mission is going to pop up and tell you to go. Do these missions have a marker on the map or are they just auto decline? Oh, you're talking about some other missions.
We do have the logbook, which contains like summaries of things you have done and where you are in storylines.
Mm-hmm.
So you could use that as a reminder, I suppose.
But a lot of this does seem to be coming from the Emerald Sword mission series, which I did say that is certainly a mission series we can revisit, because that one is like a step above all the other ones in that it can get very confusing on where to continue it and how. So that's something we can take a look at.
Yes.
Well, no, I know you're not saying it's just the Emerald Sword mission, but yes, there are markers now too.
Yeah. I suppose we could have an invisible mission, just mark the systems that the next missions will be in.
Well then, Rats, let me ask this. What would you propose would help solve this? Or what do you think would be a good idea to revisit? You did mention having like a quest log, which that comes up every now and then. I'm not sure what the other devs think about that right now, but from what I'm gathering, it's a lot of just fine-tuning and going back to missions and hoping that there is a little bit more clarity in the decisions. Basically tracking what storylines are going on.
I suppose that's more of the logbook's purpose, but I could see it being more visible on the mission panel.
Yeah. Logbooks, it's kind of the logbook's purpose, but the logbook's kind of more like fluff than it is really like a guide. So, but it does tell you, like, we don't have it for every single mission, which that's a little different if we're trying to do something that keeps track of things, which Rat's saying here. I'm trying to imagine where, like, say you're in the middle of free worlds and well, that is kind of what the logbook does. I know it's not doing what exactly you're saying it should do, but like, we don't have it for every single mission, of course, but there are important missions where it's like, recently went over to this is probably not like a real example, but it's an example. Went over to the capital of Freeworld Space and talked with the group and are on a waiting period for them to summon you again or something like that. Okay, yeah, here's a comment from Derpy on one of the issues. An achievements page, yeah, that's also something to consider. So simplified section of the logbook. Yeah, at this point, like, this does come up a lot, but it always comes down to how we should implement it, because what we're trying to avoid at the most is explicitly telling the player where to go, which from what we're talking about here doesn't seem to be what people want, which is good, because we still want to keep that kind of like element of stumble. But there's certainly ways that we can make it keep track of things a little bit kind of arbitrarily. So Oh, this is a cultural combo speed. The only thing weird with having random hails do that is we have so many hails in the game that we can still change the weight of it, but I feel like at this point with how hails have been, I'm not gonna say trivialized, but with how not super important they are, there's not going to be very many players that pay attention to them, and just how historically the game has gone and like how other games have gone, I don't think us just saying pay attention to the hails is really going to do a whole lot different. Even if we were to add some important things, we could still add some more hails into them, but
Yeah. We also can't use like spaceport news for it, because if you are looking at the spaceport news, then you are already checking the spaceport.
Yeah. Well, that kind of comes into like those other missions where it's those there are a few of these in the game. There's not a whole lot, but there's these ones where when you land, it's just a very simple one-off mission where it pops up a conversation of like someone walking by talking about something, and then that's it. That's, I think, especially for like the early spaceport missions to guide you to spaceports. It's an example of that. But yeah.
Yeah, so we could have like culture conversations for that.
Okay. Well, I do want to. Okay, I know I keep saying this. I'm gonna answer one more quick question here from a newcomer, and then I'm gonna go into the questions for today, and then we can jump back around to the chat here. Moiki says, as a newcomer, I'm curious for your plans using demand tribute function, and if you do, like playing stories and defeating garrisons. So the demand tribute function has always been kind of like a quote mini game, and it's not canon within the game's story. So it's not something that we would make a part of gameplay, like essential, like core of it. It's been expanded. We've done a few things with it, but we wouldn't base any core plot elements around it, because it's supposed to be like kind of after the fact. It's supposed to be after you do the main story, like, oh, I have a strong fleet now, or I have a high combat rating, now I can challenge planets and start to dominate the galaxy. Same thing how it was in the Escape Velocity series, is it wasn't really something you could feasibly do until you finished the main story, and it was kind of more meant for, you don't the game story, you're now post-game, what else is there for you to do? Conquer the galaxy. But so the idea is we'd give it to Worlds for you to do so after the fact, but it wouldn't be like a main part of the plot per se. Could I reopen this? If there's not a duplicate open of it. It looks like there is a duplicate open. Yeah, there is one that is open. It's linked in the it's linked at the bottom of that one. I will put this on a milestone. I'll do it on 10x. That way we have it a little bit more in our eyes here.
Yeah, this is also a PR, and we generally don't reopen close PRs. Like, I don't think the author is even around these days.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Yeah. If it was just an issue, we could reopen it, probably.
I'm glad you enjoyed the story, at least. Alright, so we do have a few questions here. I'll go ahead and start reading them on the sheet, and then we'll come back to chat. First question is just, I think this is Warp's meme question, so I'm going to skip that one.
I think we can go straight to the fourth one.
Let's see.
And they kind of addressed the third one, and first one is a real question, and yeah, second one has been discussed like 3 times.
I will briefly answer the second one, because I think it's another one of those misconception things. This question asks, every week developers get into voice chats. Is what is said written down anywhere, publicly or privately, or do we rely on our memory? Whatever we say in developer chats, not these, but the ones we do on weekends, if it's like relevant, or if it's meant to be changes to a PR, or the opposite, or if it's meant to be like important changes or choices on the PR, we always write it on the PR. Nothing ever sits like in our heads or in the chat channel. A lot of what we say, or most of what we say otherwise, goes into PRs or it goes into chats like this or comments. Now, I will go ahead and say sometimes whatever those things are don't happen as soon as they need to or as soon as they should. But it's not a matter of we think or say something and then choose not to say anything about it. It's a lot of times in those chats, I'll be like, hey, can you just make that comment on that PR? Or someone else might say that. So regarding that, no, we don't rely on memory. If something is to be written down, we write it down. It kind of seems like there's like this conception of there's some like floating words that we don't say, or like there's more going on like in chats that we aren't spreading around, but that's not the case. But I will say that there are times, and we kind of been talking about this lately, where we kind of need to like give an answer a little bit more sudden, like clearly, or just more like a more direct answer rather than kind of maybe in the future. But we do when we need to put comments on things. So
Yes.
what's the new update things? And the fourth question, what are some things, this is a good question, and it's not the first time it's coming up, but it's still a good question. What are some things that reviewers can do or do more of to help development / devs lives easier, smooth outside of following existing guides like the wiki, style guide, etc.? Well, you get one of you want to take this?
Well, I suppose I can do reviews. That wasn't listed here.
Yeah. So even just Rat asking that question, like even just doing that, asking questions or getting discussion going, even if we're not like directly part of it right away, if people want to talk about something, just bring it up in discussions or opening a pull request or even just reviewing pull requests that you might catch on GitHub, like, oh hey, this is something I'm interested in. Just getting involved. And it's a very basic answer, but the more voices, the better. And when it comes to like the wiki and style guide, I think more so just like that's kind of keep in mind the style guide, etc. in the wiki. Just try and get like an idea of what Endless Sky, what things are already kind of being spread around in game, like idea wise. The style guide is a very kind of bare bones example of if this is this, but just kind of like being around and getting into more discussions is a good way of understanding how things are being developed for the game. Rats says, I don't use Git much. Doing this kind of thing is hard, and I don't use Git, and you're not a programmer. I'm gonna let you on a hint, Rats. I know zero things about code. Okay, maybe not zero. I've done like I've had a couple like classes on it and stuff like that, but I don't touch the game's code. I touch the game's data files. I touch the game's artwork. I read the stories, but I don't touch the code. You don't have to know code to be able to help us on GitHub, because a lot of it actually is either reviewing code, which lately has been something that we could use a little bit more of, or be on GitHub and reviewing stories and artwork or other things like that. So that's kind of how I felt with GitHub at first too, long before I was a developer. Like when I was working on the Gegno, GitHub scared me. I feel like when I was making a PR, I had no idea what I was doing with I think it was code blocks at the time. But I think when you kind of think that GitHub is kind of more of a code base, but it's also like we work with excuse me, it is a development environment, so it's not like explicitly code. So just kind of getting into more discussions, and then yeah.
Yes. Another helpful thing is to just test the changes.
Yes, please test
submissions that are bug fixes. You can check through them.
Yes, when you open a PR or an issue, please test it first. Don't open it with it saying testing none and then have us do it, which we're still supposed to do it and we're going to, but when you have an issue or PR and you open it, it says I haven't tested my change. How can we? How confident are we that your change is working when you don't test it yourself?
Yeah.
Yes, and please give saves. If there's a mission issue or if there's like a something's broken and you fix it in a PR or someone opens a PR on it, please make a save for before that mission, because we're gonna have to go through that anyway and make the saves, and it makes our life so much easier if there's a save right before that mission series. Then we can just pop it in our pilots folder, play through it, check if it's working, boom, merged.
Yeah. And if you see a PR or an issue without a save, if you can get a save for it, that's also massively helpful. I just posted that in a comment.
Yeah. Those are actually really big ones, is testing and save files.
Yeah.
Those will help.
And even for code PRs, like you can just go in and test it and see how it feels. And then even if you know nothing about coding, you can discuss the user experience of it.
Yeah, for like UI, for example, it might be a little bit of a hot minute to like build the game. I don't know, because some people might be building the game. I build the game locally. Some people might go through ESL2, which is a good alternative. But if you are able to test UIs, even if you're not like completely building the game up from scratch, that can help too. Because I did that with this, some of the star PRs. I did that with fleet formations actually, and some of the other things. So
yeah, if you don't know anything about coding, I would recommend using ESL2, and then you don't have to do anything fancy. You just install that app and it works.
Yeah, I think it is a lot of because save files do look like a bunch of jumble of words, and that can be a little bit daunting where you open your save to test something and then you're like, oh, now I gotta scroll through like tens of thousands of lines to figure out that one line that I changed that might work now.
I also find that the like generated comments in a save file that describe various sections aren't actually useful. They don't actually describe what's there. Like, there is that section with the missions, and there is always a comment before that that says what you have done. But then at the top, it actually has the missions that can offer. Like if you go to the mission panel, those missions will be listed there, and not the missions that are done in your save file.
Yeah, right after I think, well, there's your ships, then yeah, the top missions aren't the ones I think that are offered, it's the ones that can be offered, right?
Yes, it's the ones that can be offered or are active.
Yeah, or it's usually like the very first few, and that's how I kind of memorize where missions are on save file, is going to be those repeating like permanent ships like the Drac and stuff. Those missions are usually the highest, or like the top ones, because they're always active.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's also confusing because like most players have no idea that those missions exist and what they do. You look at it and you see something about a Drac, like, okay, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, who came up with the Incapes, or well, they spelled it wrong, they spelled Incapes, and the successors, and will there be authorships for them? So the Incapes were created by Rising Leaf. You can find them on GitHub. They are Rising Leaf. And then successors were made by, I'm going to butcher their name, Dairy. Now I actually have to go on GitHub and look at the full name because I know it's Dairy something.
Dairy, something like that.
Yeah.
And possibly ends with a vowel.
They're made by Dairy. And will there be authorships for them? So authorships are kind of an unspoken thing in Endless Sky development. Whenever the idea of an authorship comes up, it's not usually just, hey, this person should get an authorship. Well, okay, I take that back. That's how that is how it happens. But it's not one of those like, oh, we should maybe make this, or oh, someone made this content, therefore they should get an authorship. It's usually an unspoken rule. Usually it's kind of like a someone in the organization suggests it or they vouch for it, and then kind of a little bit words go around and they go, okay. It's a very humble thing. For example, me and Derpy, people have always said we should have authorships. We still don't. uh,
Yeah.
and then otherwise, like before I was a developer, I said I think it was right when I became a developer. I said Gefu should have a personship because of how much artwork he's done for the game, and boom, he got one. So to answer this question, will there be authorships for them? Perhaps. It's usually, I would say it's likely for when someone's a faction author and they do a lot for the game. And you don't have to be a faction author to get an authorship. You can do a ton of reviewing on GitHub. You can be doing a ton of the code for GitHub, a ton of the writing, a ton of the artwork. It usually is kind of on that latter end of how much you contributed to the game. But we do try and be humble about it. We do try and be like a little bit hesitant about it because we don't want to end up being like every person who has contributed APR to the game gets a ship in the game. So at that point, yeah, it's an unspoken humble rule. Not even rule, but it just kind of happens. There's not really like a to B for it.
We are only now getting an authorship for Peter, who has been a core developer since forever.
I could say, oh, Type should get an authorship because he's a dev. Should he? I don't know. I think it'd be cool.
I don't think I deserve that yet.
It's really like kind of like a organization, kind of like, I keep saying it's like a humble thing. I fix a spelling mistake and get authorship. Yeah, I changed an A to an E and a British to an American word. Now where's my authorship? Yeah. All right, next question. I have 4 types of ship right now: a Star Queen, some Leviathans, a large number of Ares with daggers. That is base. I love Ares. That's also 3 ship. Okay, daggers 4. Often when I use the new formations, the Ares and Leviathans switch the places that I want them to be. This mainly happens right after jumps that I don't line up my ships for properly. Is there a priority list for which ships where they go in a formation? And if so, can ships that are unparked but outside flagship's current system be counted in that list? Oh geez, I don't know. Do you know anything about that, how that code works, Tab?
So, in my understanding, ships that are not in the same system as your flagship are ignored in formations, which does mean that if you jump, it has a chance of breaking. Actually, formation positions don't get recalculated every frame, but if the timings, you can get unlucky with them, and maybe it recalculates them when you are in the new system, but that other ship is still in the old system. And then it will try to readjust the formation and readjust it again as the other ship gets there. I assume that can cause them to switch formation positions. That is somewhat unfortunate, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's a new feature, so there's plenty of things we can kind of try and work around with it. It'd be a great question for Peter, though, since he's the one who made them, but he's not here right now, so I'll pass it on.
Yes. We could perhaps have some kind of grace period for invalidating the formations. I think they get like recalculated like once a second right now, maybe, and maybe we could say that after one case of it being wrong, you flag the ship as being out of formation, and if the next calculation still finds it that it's not in the same system, then you remove it and put some other ship in its place, maybe.
Maybe. Next question here is, with the voluntary nature of ES development, how much time do you actually spend on working on ES? And this is probably assumingly for all the devs. Unfortunately, there's only 4 of us here right now, actually 3. For me, and I think this goes for the other devs, it always depends. Because You could look at my GitHub, even because I work on the game obviously outside of GitHub, like reviewing stuff on stream or making content for it or reviewing content like in my local files. It could be anywhere from several hours every day of the week to once a weekend. um,
Yeah.
Lately, like I've been saying earlier, because Anarchist pointed it out, I haven't had a whole lot of time to hop on GitHub and review PRs. If you look back in the beginning of summer or even back in April, I'd be on almost every other day for several hours a day. Usually reviewing like a lot of the bigger things like alien species or artwork or things like that. Unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot of code, so I can't be doing a lot of time in that. So if I have reviewed a bunch of things, then at that point, like I couldn't really look at the code. Doom says in chat, depends on what's going on at any given point, how busy he is, or what you do and don't count as working on the game. Yeah, because that is kind of like a like a general question. Tybe, how often do you work on the game?
It really depends. Like,
Yeah. It depends
pretty much the same as you.
Yeah.
Like, there are days when I push out like 100 review comments and like 5 new pull requests and
Yeah.
merge a bunch of things, and then there are cases when I just don't look at anything for 3 days because I'm so busy.
Yeah.
I don't actually have a good estimate in amounts of time. It's probably a couple hours
Yeah.
still. Like, everything takes longer than people assume.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of things take a lot longer because this is what we were saying earlier, testing and why saves are so helpful. And like other people testing is you'll realize if you're testing like broken missions or stuff, you have to test every single possibility of that thing working or not. And that means even doing something you normally wouldn't really expect. Like test if a mission offers 2 planets away at a certain chance, and you might not know. Like maybe you'll go 10 planets away and then you find out something broke with it. That's why we have unstable and stable releases, so because a lot of people find these kind of like on the side. But testing and stuff at the very least takes a lot. Reviewing written work, those of you who have been there for my streams, going through a PR's written files takes a lot longer than people think it does. It's not just reading a couple pages out of a chapter of a book. It's like I have to reread conversations over and over to try and get a better understanding of them before I make more comments on them. Sometimes you have to read all the way down, go back, because you're like, oh, hey, maybe this thing. Just in general, things take a little bit longer than people expect them to. I'm sure it's like that on the code side of things, because who knows what happens when like one line goes wrong or once, oops, I meant to do it a different way. But so as like this question starts with, it is a volunteer project. We're all working on kind of on this on the times that we do. I just got pinged somewhere. Okay. It really depends on that, and it also depends on the time of the year, because closer to holidays, like especially Derpy and some of the other devs, they really kick off with how much time they have to kind of grind out several PRs. That's why some people they'll look at GitHub activity and they'll be like, there hasn't been really a PR merged in a while, and then there are other times where it's like 10 PRs merged in one day or something like that, or within 10 minutes, and it's just kind of how it happens. Yes, we could trickle it out through the weeks, but that's not really like a we have the capability to do that but aren't doing it. It's more, do we have the capability to do that because of time and who is where in, you know, the real world and at what time zone, because half of the devs are 6 hours off the other devs or 12 hours off the other devs. So that's why when we have those things like those dev chats on weekends, those help us a lot, because although this is a volunteer project, it is some of a semblance of like a little bit more, I don't want to say professional, but just kind of like a meetup where we can say this dedicated time once a week is to the game. Even if it's just talking about things, kind of getting our opinions on things, because we do say things in chats, but sometimes sitting down together and kind of going through everything as a group helps, even if not everyone is there. Which, like I said, different time zones, different places, different work. So it's just the nature of the volunteer project. And because this is a volunteer project, I feel like there are some times where people kind of expect us to be doing professional level work on the game, when it's just not really that kind of a project. And we can certainly have like a professional attitude with the game, but it's not really something you can like, because that's a thing. Then we should have professional output of PRs and such. Because it'd be a lot different if we were working on this game as if it was like a Steam game, like a game, like say we're making money off of it. That would change everything completely. I'm not saying we should, and we don't want to, but if we were sitting down 7 hours a day every weekday working on the game, it'd be quite a different story than it was if we are working on it as a volunteer project with whatever free time we have. So, and because
We
it's that,
probably would have even more burnouts.
yeah, well, yeah, it would be a little bit more of a burnout, but it's definitely like a different setup for sure organizationally. I was talking about this with Hector the other day too. There's a very big difference between working on the game as a volunteer project and kind of a passion project, which is what MZ started it with being. It's not like this official game on Steam. Well, it is an official game on Steam, but it's not like a AAA title or anything like that. It's a passion project. It's a volunteer project. So if that answers your question, whoever question this is of ES development and voluntary nature, it's whenever we have the time for it. Thanks to the volunteers. Thank you, SoCal. And everybody else. Like, it's not just the developers either. All the reviewers, all the content creators, everybody, even people who are just chatting in Discord, all of that is on our own time.
Yes.
So
Though I would like to say that reviewing stuff on mobile is somewhat painful.
yeah, don't do that. No. some people actually do review on mobile. I know Hurlover does it. You said I'm assuming you're saying you do it, and you're doing it with code, which is, God, I don't know how you can do that. That sounds painful. So, I guess
It is.
I guess what I'm getting from you saying that is, if you have free time but you only have your phone, that doesn't mean you're gonna jump on reviewing the game, because it's a lot better to be reviewing it on PC. Because there can be more accidents happening via the phone review. But yeah. And then this last question here, before we jump back to the chat. What is the future of ES? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? That is such an open question. That could mean anything. What is the future of ES? ES? More ES? I don't know. More stories, more tweaking the content that already exists. Yeah.
What animal would you imagine yourself as?
Yeah. Let's apply that in 10 years in ES terms. Where do you think you'll be in 10 years of ES? Working on plugins. Because something Derpy says a lot, he jokes about a lot, or not jokes about, he says someday when he's no longer a developer, he wants to work on a lot of plugins for the game. I'd want to also. I think that'd be cool. I don't see myself also developing the game for forever either. It's just how volunteer projects work. We're not all going to be in the seats we are in today. Not just developers, but everybody. But the future of ES itself, I mean, who knows? Obviously, the future is having the main story done, having more factions in the game. Future of ES is to continue our little project here with more stories and more fun for you guys.
And 10 years is a very long time. Like,
that's just
we have only been around for 10 years. Like,
yeah, I haven't even been here for 10 years. Some people actually have been. This person stopped typing, but Router earlier, they popped up in the chat at the beginning of the stream. They've been here since MZ time, so like they might have been here for 10 years. I'm sure they've seen a lot change throughout the game's history. They were asking like, coalition licenses, what? New factions, what? Who's the Kahat?
but here too, maybe next update.
Yeah. You're hoping it won't take 10 years to finish the Wanderer campaign? Yeah, no. All right, well, that's all the questions in the submission or submitted questions doc, or doc spreadsheet. So now we turn to the chat for any kind of, I'm not gonna say rapid fire yet, but just kind of general questions or discussions you guys have. I'm gonna check my stream chat. Okay, no one's talking there, just so people know I'm not ignoring them there.
I saw someone asking earlier about adding like preferences and keybinds to Steam Cloud saves.
Oh yeah. I don't know how we go about the game in Steam Cloud.
Neither do I. So I think currently we only saved save files, which is nice because they are in a separate directory. But I believe that the preferences and keybinds are stored in the same directory where you have like the directory of the save files and the directory of the plugins. So maybe if you were to like put that into like Steam Cloud, then it would also save all of your plugins, which is bad.
All I know is that some funky things happen with Steam Cloud or something, because I see my pilots every time I delete them because I'm trying to start with a new folder. They always come back. Stored one directory above saves. Oh, okay. That's true. I go through the plugin directory a lot, so testing things. Purple guy reference.
Any good tricks for bug bites? I suppose you could go with the heavier campaign instead of the Lunarium, and then you could crush some Kimax, I suppose.
I think tips for good tricks for bug bites. Don't get bit. You won't have a problem if you don't get bit. SoCal asks, as a player, it is hard to gauge development speed unless you've been playing for quite a while. How far out does the next segment of the game or section of content seem to be, or are you able to give us a best guess estimate? That is a tongue twister. When you say game development speed, it's going pretty fast, but you're talking about specifically the main plot or specific storylines, so it really depends. Especially this year, there's been a lot of talk of wanting to get chugging on those new stories, and I really want to kick us into gear on actually getting tangible work on those, which there is some a little bit like the couple, you go down a couple of channels here, and there is Pirate Gameplay, Korg, Wanderer, which I believe is still, Wanderer is open. So there's been chats on how to continue forward. So it really is kind of pushing the pedal to the metal at this point, because a lot of these things, especially, it's going to come up when Republic campaign. I also want to see that too. Don't get me wrong. All of us want to see it.
There are like 3 or 4 different partial write-ups for the Republic campaign.
Yeah, so within this year, we have like write-ups or thoughts of where to take the Republic campaign, the Wanderer campaign, maybe the Syndicate campaign. So historically, those are often questions like over several years, but the fact that within this year we have gotten some like progress on outlining it is a good indication. I will tell you what we don't want. I don't want us spending another 4 years deciding on what we're doing with it. I will tell you right now, within 4 years, I very much want there to be some of that in the game. I don't want to sit here and see nothing. If there's no Republic campaign work, if there's no Wanderer campaign work in 4 years, I'm gone. See ya. No, but honestly, I do like, because we're coming close to the end of the year here, maybe New Year's resolution. I'm not dying until until we get some work on those things. Doom is pretty adamant. Doom is a new dev this this year. A couple of other new devs here who we really want to get work on the new campaigns. We have a couple other things we want to sift through. Like we also want to get through High Reveal. That's also, everyone's always asking about that. We want to get through High Legacy, or that I want to get through that. Maybe take a look at Unfettered stuff, then the pirate stuff. It's a lot of stuff to look at, but I do want to start cracking down a bit less on have this new thing here, new thing here, new thing here, and more on get the thing here people have been asking for 8 years. So I'm sorry I can't give you a specific example. That's like asking when does Taco Bell bring you your taco? You don't know that. They say at 2 o'clock. No, it's not gonna be 2 o'clock. I don't even think they deliver, but yeah. Oh, I got someone to ban in Twitch. Hold on. I do not want your cheap viewers. I want your most expensive viewers. Why are you trying to sell me cheap viewers? Okay. Yeah.
It's really not easy to write these major storylines, and
Yeah.
we have very few people who can do it, and they're volunteers and don't get paid for any of that, and they're
Yeah.
not professional writers. Like if you look at how many years it takes for a lot of authors to get like the next book out in a series,
It's
yeah, like they easily take over a year.
yeah.
And
It's
yeah,
the volunteer thing, right? If we as a developer team, not MZ, because we're not MZ. MZ wrote the core game part of the story. He wrote the free world storyline. We have worked on it since then, yes. But he's the one who actually sat down. I don't know how long that took him, and we don't know how long, like how many hours a day he spent on it. We're obviously not sitting here spending a job level hours a day on it. He might have, like on his off time. Who knows? But if we're gonna actually sit down and like grind out one of these campaigns, we have to be together, and we have to meet up a lot for it. So it's something we'd have to plan around. Or if we can't do that, because like that's usually the nature of a volunteer project, is we can't all be there like on schedule with each other. We have to set up a lot of like outlines and goals, and just it's a lot of work to set things up. And I will say I haven't been here that long. I've been here like 2 years, 2.5 years, but maybe 3 or 4 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, there hasn't been any like progress on those kind of outlines. I can say right now there is. So within where we are today, it is certainly something we want to push. Still can't give you an exact date, sorry. Rat says he has to go. Thanks for being here, Rat. Or they have to go, sorry. Are there volunteer positions that you need for repetitive tasks or anything the community could support? No problem, Rat.
Well, like we said before, reviewing helps a lot.
Yeah.
Testing, providing safe files, even just like looking at issues and discussions and like discussing things, throwing around ideas.
It's just
all
kind
of
of
that
just
helps
being
a lot.
involved. It really is a passive active thing, because the more you know about the game, the more you get involved with it, the more discussions you're part of, and the more you test, the more you are able to project that and have other people understand what is expected for the game, what you know happened in the past or what has been discussed before, and apply that to a new discussion that might pop up similarly. Or testing is like something might have been broke for a while. You can test it, and the more people that has said we tested this and it works, the better. So we don't have like a PR with a test on it, which means okay, now for like obviously we're going to test it either way, but when a PR comes in and it says one person tested this, then the dev goes and tested it. It's different if 10 people tested it and it works, and then the dev goes and tested it. Ponzi scheme phantom. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you can also just go to their fandom wiki and like create new pages for missing content or update them when we get stuff merged.
I will see.
It also helps a lot.
How am I blanking on his name? Who does our wiki?
Koraben.
Yeah, Koraben. Yeah, he does such a good job at maintaining the wiki. Like the stuff for the successors was already in the wiki before even the update, because it was like these will be a next update. Korg remake, that's pending on Todd's. I might poke Todd about that. Todd's artwork. That's the thing though, is because this is a volunteer project, a lot of it relies on other people's time. So I could sit here, if I had all the Korg's assets for all their ships, I might be going doing a stream and trying to implement them into the game along with their outfits, and we might get some inputs on, say, like, I know Azure wants to say some inputs on those, and then some other people, and I might be working on those. But I don't know Todd's life. I can't force him. This is, again, volunteer project. I can't tell him, hey, I need those Korg visuals Sunday. Work on stats is your job, Doom. Well, it's now your job. Before it was my half-assed job. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Doom's been doing a really good job of doing balance and stuff too. So it's all these little things that have to eventually add up to a project, which is why we can't just sit here and say, this project, boom, we're doing it now until now, and we're gonna get done by now, or then, or whatever. So everything is just, it's a volunteer project. It's up to chance. Some things may take several years. Some things take 10 minutes. We have no control over it. Unless we actually made like a cult or something, and this was our job that gave us no money. Who knows? There might have already be a cult, or as far as you know, there already has been one. Wait, this isn't a cult? Oh, I gotta go. Proprietary. Oh no. All right. And this cult. And the Sky Battle Pass, yeah, we gotta start talking about the Bitcoin, right? And the Sky Bitcoin. We actually had someone accuse us of Bitcoin mining the computer within the Sky because it was so bloated. When I believe it was because they had high DPI installed, and those images are not small.
Yeah.
Doesn't it trigger an antivirus? It did one time. I don't know what it was doing, but someone had like a Steam problem. They said it triggered one of their antiviruses, and I think it was one of the Linux builds. But oh, ESL2.
We get like
okay.
Weird.
Yeah, because it's like third party.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I know that Mac also has like some issues with ESL2 because it really doesn't like it when apps download like other executables and like install them, kind of.
Yeah. Well, it's like Quick's editor, for example. That might be like, because it's a third-party thing to help work on Endless Sky. Some people might be like, "Oh, that's what's that program?" You know, reads like a Bunradia ship. What does that mean, Raki? How does a Bunradia ship read? With its eyes? With its many swarm missiles? Yeah, I like the Bunradia ships. I like how they're slow. I like that they have a lot of guns and they turn fast, but they're slow, because it's an interesting balance. Fucking excuse me. I like mobile platforms. I don't know what I say. I don't know why I said excuse me there. Derpy drops that all the time. You don't know about how many campaign have writers for them, but I say where they see the Gigna goes. The first people with weaker technology for humans, which sounds super interesting to me. Hi, I wrote them. I'm the campaign writers for the Gigna. It's certainly going to be interesting trying to develop low tier faction. That's the whole reason I put them in the game. It's my job. You paying me?
No, you are a slave.
They should be enslaved or eradicated? Alright. Sixpence is the reason why the Gegno genocide missions exist. Why are I answering questions I could be spending more time on Gegno missions? Why am I spending time answering questions when it could be spending time on Gegno missions when it could be time spent on the Republic camp now? I don't know, Raki. Now I kind of want to try that. I want to see if a wasp can beat like a hornbill or something. If you pilot it well enough, you probably just could. I mean, a raven can beat a gneiss. I did not volunteer to take over the Republic.
Do you guys have any real questions still.
Yeah. Any other questions? We could look to wrap up a little. We should actually these last few chats have gone like an hour and a half, so coming up in 6 minutes here would probably be it. A 5 gap fury would do damage to any game in the ship. Yes, it would. Yeah, any last minute questions or things you want to talk about that you like a developer's opinion on? Rate my Kiv build. Have a section in Campfire chat, so it's rate my Kiv build, and then 90% of the Kiv builds are going to be the same thing. If you build your Kivs with nullifiers, that's based. There, that's my opinion. Ion weapons are based. I love ion weapons. Iron weapons, Chad. Heat weapon seething.
Yeah.
When will the realism update drop? What's the value for gravity again? Quad thorax. Can those things really fit 4 of those? That's crazy. How much work is the art set in the sky if you know? Oh, I know. That depends. How do you have you done Blender, and if so, how much work do you think that is? And if not, how much work do you think it would be learning it? It really isn't. Okay, this is gonna sound biased coming from me. It really isn't that hard to get started with Blender, especially because in this guy's ship's style is that kind of programmer-esque throw a bunch of shapes together. Eventually, a bunch of shapes does look good, but how much work is it though?
How much time do you spend on them?
On ships, a decent amount of time for blend files. On the other things, it really depends because artwork is all over for Endless Sky. We don't just do everything in one media or medium or whatever. Yeah, we do Blender for ships and outfits. Sometimes people can use, well, you can use Blender for anything technically. Some people do. Landscapes are either as simple as looking at something free sourced or taking the pictures yourself, so that might take a lot depending. Planets are done in graphic editing programs like GIMP, or I guess well, usually GIMP because you can't. We're not using things like Photoshop because those cost money. There's some other. I think there's other programs. Never
I think
bought
someone
one.
was just using Paint or PaintNet.
Ship design looks so daunting. That really makes me just want to start streaming ship modeling again. I might. But yeah, look at the OG ship designs here. Some of the old ships, if you didn't know, are just painted. They're not even Blender files. They're just 2D files. If Warp was here, he would have had like a really old version of In the Sky. Let me see if I do. Or someone might beat me to it.
I remember like a blog on the GitHub.io site by MZ. He was talking about how he designed like the first round of ships and then how he upgraded them later.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. There we go. Like, compare. What is that even on the right? Is that a shield beetle? Yeah. If you look at the shield beetle right there, it does look kind of detailed, but a lot of it is just very repetitive shapes, and that looks way different. Like, it actually looks a bit more detailed than the shield beetle we have now.
It's more vibrant.
Monolith is an Argosy, yeah. For people on Twitch, oh my god. I got another. Best viewers. Where's the Maraudian Bactrian? That's actually one of the older designs too. It's a person ship. But yeah. Ship designing, it really depends because some of the designs could be a bit more, dare I say, simpler, like the coalition designs, and some designs could be very intricate, like the pug designs. So there is kind of like a medium to how to make sure it fits within the Sky's visuals, but I think it can be daunting at first, but just practicing helps, I believe. We're gonna get the flower license. That's actually part of the Shiragi mission series, if you don't know what that is. I'd say just like art can be daunting. It really depends on what part of the game is art. But I think this kind of reminds me. I should make a tutorial on how to make a ship. We don't really have one of those. We have MZ's page on how to make planets. We have it on how to make outfit like thumbnails and stuff like that. Coda's art. Yeah, that is true. That is art that I will never be able to understand. Maybe someday. But maybe I'll do a tutorial on the Sky ship. We did used to have like a plug-in ship for like, here's an example of an in the Sky ship.
Yeah, we do have that, I think, in the example plugin.
Yeah. Monitor. Yeah, that was an old Navy ship that used to be part of the Navy's roster. I've done it. I've talked about it a little bit, so I will say it out here. I have plans to bring that ship back, but not as a Navy ship, but more as like the Saber and the Enforcer. I want to bring it back as a ancient human ship that's no longer used, but is still in the game somehow. Because I thought that was a neat ship to have.
And what about the lightning?
I have no idea what that is. I think that was supposed to be like another alien or something, like maybe a Korg ship. Yeah.
It doesn't look Korg.
I mean, look at the other two Korg ships. They're completely opposite of each other. Who knows? Could be a third Korg ship.
But the Korg are still like kind of spiky, and the lightning is rounded much more.
It's funny, it's a
Close
Firebird.
to that bug.
Yeah, let's say the Firebird. There are a decent amount of ships that really didn't lose their design style from like the beginning of the game. Like, you look at the Hawk changed a lot, but if you look at like the Firebird, that didn't change much at all, or the Freighter. All of this is zoomed out, so. The Hawk. I feel like I'm gonna get a joke made of me because I said that. It's not this shit anyway. Alright. SoCal's on my Twitch channel now. Thank you for the follow. Well, if that's it for questions, I mean, is there anything else any other devs have to say about? Oh, okay. Next update. I didn't actually get to that yet. Next update is going to be at the end of October. Well, I guess it's October already, isn't it? Oh, spooky update? No. It's going to be another stable update. We're looking to fix any bugs that came up for this unstable. There's already a lot of successor mission fixes that you guys have been picking out and showing us, so that's good. I knew you would send that meme, Benny. I hate you. Yeah, just mostly bug fixes. Maybe I don't know if there's going to be a couple missions or two. It just looks like mostly like bug fixes.
Yeah.
So look out for that.
It's scheduled to come out on the 26th of October.
So not Halloween.
And then, yeah, we would have the next Campfire chat the week after, like this time.
Yep. Let's see here. The 2nd?
Yes.
Yes. The 2nd of November. But I think that's it for me. Anything else you guys have to say? Quick, ask Doom some balance questions. I don't know. We're gonna end with that. You guys are gonna ask Doom balance questions, and then we're gonna end.
What do you think about the payment of successor jobs?
Oh, yeah. How are those?
Some of them were giving negative payments. Oops.
Can you make more offensive core? The most unbalanced item in the game, isn't it? Talking about picking feathers off birds and being responsible for it. People watching Twitch.
But birds also lose their feathers or shed them. Like, you don't have to take them necessarily.
June asks, are you happy with the core or in terms of balance? I'm going to answer this out loud too, and I'm going to say no. They are not supposed to be balanced where they are right now. They are placeholders right now. They've been placeholders for several years now. TLDR Skyline's gonna get nerfed. Antimatter Core gonna get nerfed. Korg Ship's gonna get more. Graviton Thruster? I don't know. Actually, I actually don't know. That one, there hasn't been a lot about that one.
I don't think those are crazy compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
I think they're actually kind of inefficient in some ways. The outfit space-wise.
Right now the Korg
But
are
doing
just...
recycling.
Right now the Korg are just 2 ships, and they have a weapon that's strong because we're the Korg or something like that. I want to expand upon them, give them a little bit more of a shipyard, and give them a little bit more than just a Skylance. Not that much more, because they don't need to have 1 billion weapons. Like no faction in the sky needs to have 1 billion weapons. But something beyond just small ship that just has really strong lasers. Their ball lances is balanced as a lance ball. Am I supposed to say that 3 times as fast?
The fruit that's just the Kahat.
Oh, the
I don't know their
weapons.
ascension. Probably
No, that's
not.
just the relay. That one ship, it might as well just be a population of 1 billion sentient weapons. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be, because it's not 1 billion weapons.
Are the Archons weapons?
Are the Archons weapons? I don't think so. It's like saying, okay, this is gonna be a very obscure example. Actually, no. They might be weapons. I'm thinking of like Halo, dare I say 5, where if anyone knows Halo 5, I'm not, I stopped after Reach, but I know in Halo 5 there's like these giant mechas that spawn near a planet because Cortana wants to monitor humanity, and they're not quote weapons, but they're supposed to keep humanity in check, but they are just straight up a weapon. Yeah, the Archon's not meant to be balanced. It does not die.
It's balanced to be strong enough to survive and kill things.
You can kill one though, but it comes back. Okay, yeah, you can't actually kill it though. For the sake of discussion, because Noraki's gonna hit me for it. They don't actually die. When they die, they just look like, it looks like they teleport away, and they come back. But if you kill one in game, people are like, "Wow, you have a huge fleet with a bunch of OP weapons," or typically it's, "Wow, you have a huge fleet with a bunch of long-range weapons or overheating weapons." Could be killed by 3,000 sparrows. Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah, if you like put like a massive captain of like finisher torpedoes on a bunch of ships and group them around the Archon, then even with those anti-missiles,
I don't
They just
know.
get
I
killed
feel like at that
instantly.
point, it'd knock it out of range so far that they'd stop firing their torpedoes, and so there'd be a point where it just regens it.
Yeah, that's why you have to position the ships around it in like a
Uh,
circle, so that they keep it in the center.
yeah, when are we balancing the finisher mail grind? That thing's OP.
Yeah, like a first salvo just gets everything.
That thing can one shot like any ship. Not any ship, but
To be fair, right now the only way to get it is to like loot it off some ships, and then you lose a bunch of storyline.
I think it's just one of
And
those. In coalition lore, they don't have a whole lot of them on on Punishers. But if the player was just able to buy them and they outfit a whole bunch of ships with them, that'd be so strong. Yeah, that is true. We do want to rebalance. We might rebalance the Heliarchs and Pug for that, right? The higher tier Pug, based on where the Quarks balance goes.
Yeah.
All right. Last minute questions, rapid fire, 5-word questions or something like that. Go, and then we're gonna end. It's the most balanced faction in thy opinion? No. When the Navy campaign released, no. Humans, no. That's not a question. Actually, I do want to consider that the most balanced faction.
We generally do balance against humans, so like they are the baseline, and that makes them the most balanced option.
Yeah, it would be humans, and the reason that's not the answer, and it's not because it's just a basic like it's the humans because we work on it the most. I'm gonna say this: it's because they don't have a lot of damage types, and we don't want them to have a lot of damage types. It's more difficult to balance a faction if it has damage types than not. So when we get into like iron weapons and heat weapons, those are constantly being rebalanced. But humans don't have weapons like that. The only like problematic weapon that humans have is the particle cannon, because of the hip, because it's a long range and hip force. And the what?
And the flamethrower.
Oh yeah, that. True. That's what I was thinking earlier too. Is I was kind of leaning towards the high, because they're not super strong against humans, and they're not super strong, or they're not super weak against the Wanderers. It's because they're more niche. They're not straightforward. This weapon does a lot of damage. Yeah. Tier 1.5, that is my favorite spot in the game. I agree. Banana school. That's my favorite tier, and I'm kind of happy Successors came in around that tier and a little bit higher, but more of those, and then maybe a few more like less than tier 1. But it does kind of seem like, oh, everybody wants to do less than tier 1 because it's different now. But I'd be afraid of adding like another Korg faction in the game though. I've gear tier 1.5 or 1.2, not 1.5. I think so. They might not be though. I know Azure's been kind of questioning if they're going to be around there or a little higher. Shield Beetle is cute, yeah. I like the Shield Beetle. I know it's everybody's favorite high ship because it's OP, but
The Geocodex is also really nice for cargo.
Yeah. Sea Scorp's my favorite high ship. I like those kind of mid tier ships, like in between heavy warship and interceptor. Those and carriers. Although I'm not a huge fan of Softfuge, if that's how you say it. Lightning Bug? Those are right. Lightning Bugs are based off of the Millennium Falcon, did you know that? They look a little bit like one. I think that's intentional by MZ. But I think we're gonna call it there. Thank you all for watching the stream. Thank you those who are in Twitch or lurking, those who sent in questions. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you Tybe and Doom, and Anarchist is gone now, but everybody who's answering questions. Yeah. So be looking for that release end of October, and if you want to pop over to GitHub to see where things are going there, you can. Maybe leave a couple comments, a couple reviews. But that's it. So, thank you all for watching. And the VOD will be available later today, or I don't know if it'll be immediately. I'm not sure, Hector, how long that takes. But I will post a link to it once it's on YouTube. And yeah. Next Campfire chat will be the 2nd of November. So, hope to see you guys then.
Bye.
See ya.